Most people believe success is allowed, built in meetings, in crowded offices, in front of people who clap and validate you. But this story is different because it begins in silence, the kind of silence where even your own thoughts feel too loud. Ryan was 30, working a regular office job under a strict boss named Mr. Harris, the kind of man who never smiled and always reminded everyone how replaceable they were. And every single day, Ryan sat at his desk, staring at a screen, pretending to care, while inside he felt like he was slowly disappearing. His best friend, Mark, used to tell him, "Bro, you've got potential, you just don't use it." But even those words started sounding empty after a while, because deep down, Ryan didn't believe it anymore. And every evening when he returned home, his mother would ask the same question, "How was your day?" And he would give the same answer. It was fine, even though nothing felt fine, because repeating the same life every day without progress doesn't hurt loudly, it hurts quietly. One night, after an exhausting day where Mr. Harris publicly criticized him in front of the team, Ryan came home more drained than usual, skipped dinner and just fell onto his bed, scrolling endlessly until his eyes burned. And somehow, without realizing, he fell asleep. But then something strange happened. He woke up at exactly 12:17 a.m. No alarm, no noise, just pure silence. The kind of silence that feels unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable. And for a moment, he just lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to nothing, and that's when he noticed something. There were no notifications, no messages from Mark, no pressure from work, no expectations from anyone. For the first time in months, his mind wasn't crowded. Instead of going back to sleep, he slowly got up, walked to his small desk, turned on a dim lamp and opened his old laptop, not because he had a plan, not because he felt motivated, but simply because he didn't want to waste that moment. And that's when he whispered something that would quietly change everything. "I'm not fixing my whole life, I'm just using this time." And that was it. No big speech, no dramatic moment, just a small decision made in complete silence. The next morning, nothing looked different. Mr. Harris was still harsh, Mark was still joking around, his mother still asked the same question, but something inside Ryan had shifted just a little, like a tiny spark that no one else could see. And that night, without telling anyone, he did it again. 12 a.m., same chair, same silence. And this time, his body resisted. His mind whispered, "Sleep, you need rest, this won't matter." But he stayed, not because he was strong, but because there was no one watching him fail. Days turned into a strange pattern. During the day, he was the same average employee, unnoticed and ordinary, but at night, he became someone else. Someone who learned new skills, someone who started writing ideas, someone who worked on things that didn't give instant results, but slowly built something deeper. And sometimes Mark would invite him out late at night. "Bro, come on, let's chill." And Ryan would hesitate because part of him wanted that comfort, that easy escape, but another part, a quieter, stronger part, wanted something else. So he started saying no, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly choosing a different path. At home, his mother began noticing small changes. "You're waking up early these days, everything okay?" And he would smile slightly and say, "Yeah, just trying something new." But he never explained what that something was, because it didn't feel real enough to share yet. It was still fragile, still forming. And that's the thing about real change. It doesn't announce itself. It grows quietly until one day it becomes undeniable. There were nights where everything felt pointless, where the screen blurred, where nothing made sense, where he questioned if any of this would ever lead somewhere. And those were the hardest nights, because no one was there to encourage him, no one was there to clap. It was just him and his doubts. And yet, he showed up, again and again, not perfectly, not powerfully, but consistently. And slowly, that consistency started changing something deeper than results. It started changing his identity. Weeks passed, then months, and without realizing it, Ryan was no longer the same person who once believed he wasn't that guy, because now he had proof, not from others, but from himself. Proof that he could show up even when it was hard, even when it was silent, even when no one cared. And that kind of proof is different. It doesn't make you loud, it makes you dangerous in the quietest way. Then, one day, something unexpected happened. During a team meeting, Mr. Harris assigned a difficult project that no one wanted, something complex, something risky, and before Ryan could overthink it, he raised his hand. The room went silent for a second. Mark even looked at him surprised, and Mr. Harris raised an eyebrow. "You?" he said, almost doubtful, and for the first time, Ryan didn't feel small. He simply replied, "Yes, I can handle it." Not with arrogance, but with calm certainty, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything. The project wasn't easy. There were setbacks, long days, pressure, but this time it was different, because while others only worked during the day, Ryan had an advantage they couldn't see. His nights, those silent hours where he had been building himself, learning, improving, failing privately, and fixing things no one even knew were broken. And slowly, step by step, the project started coming together, better than expected. Weeks later, the results spoke for themselves. The same office that once ignored him now paid attention. The same boss who once criticized him now nodded in approval. And Mark, half joking, half serious, said, "Bro, what happened to you?" And Ryan just smiled, not because he had a secret he wanted to hide, but because he knew they wouldn't fully understand, even if he explained it. Because how do you explain something that didn't happen in one moment? How do you explain hundreds of nights where nothing looked like progress, but everything was changing? How do you explain a transformation that no one witnessed? The truth was simple. While everyone was sleeping, he was becoming. While the world was quiet, he was building. While no one was watching, he was changing. And that's why his success didn't look dramatic. It looked inevitable. And maybe that's the part most people miss. They think success requires a big opportunity, a loud breakthrough, a perfect moment. But sometimes it just requires ownership of the hours nobody wants, the silent moments where excuses are louder than motivation, and choosing to stay anyway. So, if you feel stuck, if you feel like you're not progressing, if you feel like maybe you're not that person, understand this. You don't need to fix your whole life overnight. You don't need to prove anything to the world. You just need to take control of one moment, 1 hour, one decision when the world is asleep, because that's where real transformation begins. Not in noise, not in attention, but in silence, where no one sees you, but everything changes. And maybe tonight, when everything is quiet, that's where your story starts. Subscribe, because the next story might be yours.